If your days feel packed but your goals feel untouched, you are not bad at time management. You're probably stuck in reactive leadership. Today, I'm giving you 5 tactics to take back control of your time, your attention, and your results. Leaders rarely run out of hours. They run out of attention. Meetings, messages, and small urgent fires can consume an entire day, leaving no space for the thinking, coaching, and decision-making that actually move the mission forward. According to McKinsey, most executives spend less than 10% of their time on long-term strategic priorities. The rest gets consumed by reactive work. And research from Harvard Business Review confirms that the most common leadership failure is not incompetence, it's the inability to distinguish between what is urgent and what is actually important. In the Air Force, we also talked about dealing with things that were urgent but not important. The loudest problem in the room always competes with the most important problem on the mission. Learning to manage that tension is a core leadership skill, and it starts with how you structure your day. The fix is not a new app, it's a leadership operating system. Tactic number 1 is to pick 2 outcomes for the week, not tasks, outcomes. There's a critical difference. A task sounds like send the follow-up email. An outcome sounds like close the candidate, resolve the customer escalation, ship the proposal. At the start of every week, ask yourself, if this week ended and I can only point to 2 things that move the mission forward, what would they be? Write those down before anything else touches your calendar. If you can't name your outcomes, your week will be decided by other people. Tactic 2 is protect focus time like a meeting. Most leaders would never cancel a meeting with their boss, but they will cancel on themselves all day long, and that's the problem. Put 2 to 3 focus blocks on your calendar every week and treat them as non-negotiable commitments. When someone asks for that time, you do not need to explain yourself. That is not selfish. That is how leaders create the capacity to do important work instead of just responding to it. James Clear puts it very simply. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your calendar is your system. Tactic 3 is to work in attention sprints. The modern workplace is an attention destruction machine. Notification, channel pings, open door policies, and back-to-back meetings are all designed, intentionally or not, to keep you in a constant state of reaction. Work on a single task for 25 to 45 minutes. Close everything not related to the one thing you are working on. Then when the sprint ends, stop and ask yourself 3 questions. What did I complete? What is next? What is the smallest next step I can take? That last question is the key. The mental drag of an unfinished task does not come from the task itself. It comes from not knowing what comes next. Name the next step and your brain lets go. Tactic 4 is to create message response windows. If you are available to everyone all the time, you are focused on nothing all the time. This is one of the most common traps I see leaders fall into, and it erodes both your output and your team's ability to think independently. Pick 2 or 3 response windows per day. Morning, midday, and end of the day works well for most leaders. Let your team know what to expect. Something like, I check messages at 9, noon, and 4. For anything urgent, call me. That one sentence sets a boundary, builds a norm, and trains your team to solve more problems on their own. Most things can wait 2 hours. Emergencies should come through a different channel. The leaders who respond to everything instantly are not more effective. They're just more reactive. Tactic 5 is to end each day with a 10-minute reset. This is the one habit that ties everything else together. At the end of every workday, take 10 minutes and write down your top 3 priorities for tomorrow. Not your task list, your 3 most important priorities. If you start the morning with a blank page, you will fill it with other people's priorities. But if you start with a clear list of three things that matter most, you own the first hour of your day. And that hour sets the tone for everything that follows. In the Air Force, we never walked into a mission without a briefing. The 10-minute reset is your daily mission briefing. It is the difference between taking charge of your day and letting it take charge of you. Here's a bonus tactic for you. Audit your calendar once a week. At the end of every week, spend 5 minutes looking back at your calendar and ask one question. Did this week reflect my priorities or someone else's priorities? If the answer is someone else's more than 2 weeks in a row, something in your operating system needs to change. The calendar audit is how leaders stay honest with themselves about where their time actually goes versus where they intend it to go. So to recap, name 2 outcomes for the week before anything else touches your calendar. Protect your focus time like a non-negotiable meeting. Sprint attention and name that next step at the end of every sprint. Set message response windows and let your team know what to expect when those responses are coming. And at the end of every day, have a 10-minute reset that owns tomorrow before it starts. Take charge of your day before it takes charge of you. All right, that's all for this week. Drop a comment below with the biggest time trap you're dealing with right now, and I'll suggest a boundary you can set this week. If this episode gave you a system you can use, like it, share it with another leader who can use it, and subscribe so you never miss another Leadership TTP. All right, go out there, do great things today. Onward and upward.